America had been a heathen nation based on the symbolism of the Great Seal, Congress was pushed to create something reflecting the Christian faith of so many of its citizens. U.S. President and Freemason Theodore Roosevelt, he strongly opposed this idea, but other Masons weren't as frustrated with the plan because, given the ambivalence of the term God, and the axiom that, interpreted within the context of the Great Seal's symbolism, this certainly would not infer the biblical Christian God. Therefore, the slogan "In God We Trust," whoever you believe that God is, was accommodated by Masons and other Illuminatus, who therefore approved as the official U.S. motto the phrase "In God We Trust."
And that's where I want to really start here and kind of just talk about this whole thing tonight, just looking at some of these things that we are seeing happening with President Trump, and all of the things seem to be falling in place right now. So that's one of the things that I'm noticing. I'm noticing that with this season that we're in, this season of lack, and then apparently there's going to come a time where there's going to be this person, which is, again, Donald Trump, is going to bring and save the day. Well, that is going to set off a chain of events that will lead to the introduction of the Antichrist. And so that's one of the things that Tom Horn is talking about. He talks about the man in the red hat is coming. And so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Just talking about the prophecy concerning Donald Trump, the prophecies concerning Donald J. Trump. So let's go ahead and listen a little bit more.
In my book, Zenith 2016, which among other things noted that the year of Donald Trump's presidential election had been foreseen by prophets and sages for thousands of years as the apex date, when governments would begin shifting toward the spirit that is predicted on the Great Seal of the United States, the Antichrist, followed by the actual man of sin's arrival and acceptance on the global stage in the year 2025, which people will discover in the new book Zeitgeist 2025. But this was to illustrate the point in my book Zenith 2016 that one definitely would not determine that the God in America's official motto refers to the Father of Jesus or a biblical Trinity.
Yeah. And so it's not going to be a biblical Trinity. It's going to be this God is going to come and rule over humanity. And he will start with his conquering of Israel. And that's what's very interesting about this. Just watching another video concerning this whole thing about how Israel will be, they will actually determine that this man who is going to come, who is their God, it will be the person who is, they are calling the Messiah. And so in many cases, what we've discovered is that Israel has been very deceived about this person, Donald Trump, because from what we have discovered, they have been calling Donald Trump the Messiah. They've called him the Prince of Peace. And then they've called him a lot of other names that have to do with the exclusive role of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So this is something that we are wanting to look into and get a little bit more information about. And so we're going to try to do that right now as we move ahead with our discussion. Anyway, I'd like to thank those of you who are coming into the discussion to come in and have a chat with us tonight. We're talking about the prophecy of Donald Trump and his coming forth as the new Messiah in the age of Aquarius. And so this is going to be something that's going to be carried out by Donald Trump and all of the Jewish elite who will bring him into this new world order, this new reckoning of the new age. We could call it the age of Aquarius, or another term that we could use is the golden age. And that's one of the other terms that we can use concerning that. Let's take a listen to this video here. And we're going to hear what they have to say on this issue here as soon as we can. We're going to turn over to this video and take a look at it.
Principalities control over a region through the synthesizing, and on the back of your dollar bill embedded within it is a prophecy as well about what Trump just made a public declaration of with regards to this arch. It only has one singular purpose, and is to establish ground. It is a beachhead marker stamp of a ruling principality's control over a region through the synthesizing and commingling of Egyptological and Romanesque ruling principalities unto the deification of the individual in whose name it is erected.
Yeah, and so I showed you this earlier today as we were discussing it, and just kind of looking at what does it mean? What does this archway mean that Donald Trump is planning to build? Well, this archway will be the place where he is inaugurated, right? He's going to be inaugurated in this archway, and this is one of the things that he's putting together to do that. Now, why is the archway important? Because through the archway is going to come the god Apollo, right? So the god Apollo is going to come through this archway. And so we can see that Donald Trump is actively doing everything he can to make that this prophecy of himself come to pass. The new person, or what do we call the this God, or this infilling of the spirit of Satan will come into Donald Trump, is what we're believing that could happen. Of course, we don't know whether or not they are pushing the timeline, but Donald Trump is sure that he's going to be the person to do that. Let's pay attention to this here.
This incredible building that people have wanted for so many years. And we show another building, it's an arc, it's the arc. So that circle, that's Arlington Memorial Bridge, as you know, it's sort of the most important one, a very important structure. And at the end of it, you have a circle that was built 150 years ago, nobody knows really when. And in fact, they put a couple of columns on each side. So you have two columns on one side, two columns on the other. But you have in the middle just a circle. And everyone that passes it said, something was supposed to be built there, that's true. But a thing called the Civil War interfered. That's a good reason. I would say, Ike, that would be a good reason, right? The great Ike Brolo. The Civil War, if you said you're having a war, I think they have a good reason not to build. Again, you know, they were building the Washington Monument.
So what he's talking about here is that he's going to build a archway that will represent, again, this archway will represent his coming, or the coming of the man of sin, or the God, the fallen angel that is supposed to rule over this particular region, this area. And that's what he's going to do. But it's the archway of triumph. So he's going to triumph over Israel by deceit. And that's one of the ways that he's going to do it. He's going to, according to scripture, the Antichrist will come and befriend the Israel. And then after befriending them, then he will turn on them. And this is one of the things, the events that we are understanding that is prophetic, right? This is prophetic, a prophetic event that is now being actually being forced on us. This is why all of the world, the elite and world leaders are participating in this as well. It's going, and then they're also participating in the rebuilding, restructuring of Gaza. Let me give you a little bit on that, because this is quite interesting. I was watching them talk about this. And as they were talking about the rebuilding, restructuring of Gaza, it kind of came as a blunt moment in television, because it was on a 60-minute episode, and they said that they had been planning this for a long time. So here's Donald Trump's son-in-law. He's going to be telling us what their plans are, or actually he's with another gentleman, and they're going to actually tell us what the plans are for Gaza. This is the same as what we've been talking about with President Trump. All of these things are being put in place because they are getting ready to go into this golden age. And in this golden age, they are going to rule the world. And this is one of the things that they're discussing here on the 60-minute episode. Let's check it out.
You've been in real estate. As you said, it's extremely complex. Tell us more about the plan and how much it's going to cost. Where's the money going to come from? And who's going to award the contracts? 3 questions.
I think it's going to cost a lot of money.
What's a lot of money?
The estimates are in the $50 billion range. It might be a little bit less. It might be a little bit more. I happen to think that that's not a lot of money in that region. You have governments that are going to jump on in, and
so the Middle East countries are going to provide the money.
But you'll see European participation and so forth. I think the beginning of this plan is how to get it going, and that's what me and Jared work on all the time. The money raising, we think, is the easy part. We think that happens relatively quickly, but it's the master plan, and we're working with a group of people who have been working on master plans for the last 2 years.
Now, when he says master plan, the reason they're laughing is because he's bringing all the truth out, possibly before they want to release it. Now, Jared Kushner, remember, his building has the address 666, right? And so that's one of his main building in New York. I'm sure he owns a lot of real estate, but his main building is 666. So that's his address, right? And so how close can you get to being the Antichrist with the number 666 on your building? But of course, I'm not calling them an Antichrist. I'm just saying that this is very, very odd that this person who is so close to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump loving Apollo so much and worshiping Apollo, having conversations with Apollo, and then he also has a son-in-law with a building that is reference 666, planning to restructure Gaza on the graves of many of the children that have been massacred there. And they're just sitting there talking about it's a master plan. They've had it in effect for a long time.
So there are plans already.
Yeah. We have plans already. We have a master plan already. And by the way, and Jared's been pushing this, and we're working together on it. And
look at Jared.
That's amazing. Yeah, just look at it.
Yeah, let's pause on Jared's face here.
There's a master plan. There's a I could hear old Public Enemy sampling that, like the Bomb Squad sampling. There's a master plan. There's a
master plan. Yeah. And so there is a master plan. It's kind of like when George Bush said, we're going to have a new world order. And so this New World Order, again, is what we were listening to Tom Horn just a little while ago. Tom Horn was saying the New World Order is to be put in effect in 2025. That's when it's supposed to go into actual effect. So, it's very unsettling, but at the same time, it's a little bit of exciting because we are seeing something happen that historically we have never seen happen before. I don't think in my time on this earth, I've ever seen this much demonic activity as we're seeing currently right now. So, it is something to look at and to know that we are in God's hands. God has got us. The plans of man, will come to nothing. That when men plan one thing, God has another plan in mind. It's not, it's never out of God's hands, right? God always wins. He always has it under control. And I want to go back to this video here, and let's listen to a little bit more of the um, about the Trump's Royal Archway in D.C. and how it will be a portal leading to the entry of the Antichrist, the man of sin. Let's pay attention to this here. Here is right here.
Ministry called Omega Dynamics, which is equipping a warrior class of Christians for the days ahead. I just so they know, I don't care about this stuff, but just so people know who's talking to them, I have a background as a sergeant in the Marine Corps Infantry. I have a degree in history and also law enforcement, justice administration. I've worked a little bit in federal law enforcement with the U.S. Marshals as a city cop before becoming a paramedic, and then a firefighter paramedic, and then a rescue technician, and then a tactical EMS dude, and whatever, TAC teams and all these different things before becoming missionaries in the Dominican Republic and getting hot and heavy in both research and authoring a book and doing some expeditionary stuff for antediluvian based archaeology in Peru and elsewhere. I was blessed to be able to be on expedition with Tim Alberino for a couple months down there, and we had a really fascinating time digging into those things.
So again, this gentleman, I guess he's reading his reference and he's letting us know, his credentials. Now he's going to get into some things that are pretty heavy when it comes to the dollar bill and the things that have already taken place in history, and the way we've seen history, the way we've been viewing history has been totally different than the way it has actually been, right? So there are people in place that have a agenda to create a world for us where we are deceived into thinking this is a Christian nation. Let me see if I can get to that point.
Saturn, who is only the etymology of Lucifer himself. Those are the attributes of Apollo. By the way, the rider on the white horse in Revelation is Apollo. The man of perdition is literally Apologia or Apollyon or Apollo. So it says the man of perdition. It says Apollo. When Apollo comes on the scene, he'll do this. And also in Revelation, when it talks about the one destined to perdition, to Apollo, will arrive out of the bottomless pit, and their king over them is Apollyon or Abaddon, the destroyer. So the word Apollo should not be lost on anybody. In fact, what was our first space missions and all these things? Like, it shouldn't be lost on anybody the significance of the highest order of worship in occultism is the magnification, exaltation of Apollo himself. Okay. So if anybody remembers on Inauguration Day, which, by the way, study what an augur is, that's only occultic. Augurs are occultic prophets and prophetess that would decide who was going to become a god, and then they would inaugurate them on a particular day in front of a womb of Semiramis across. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
The capital building, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So At Trump's inauguration, he makes a snap choice, that's what media says, to move the entire inauguration into the rotunda of the Capitol building underneath the singularity of the frescoes of the apotheosis of Washington, surrounded by the Cumaean Sibyl prophecy that this land and one day one of the presidents would be deified, apotheosized. He would be autotheistic. He would be self-proclaiming to be a god and become a god from that very place, according to the ancient prophecies of the Cumaean Sibyl, locked in the seals in every edifice and fresco and architecture of the entire layout of Washington, D.C.
Okay. And so it's really interesting because in the seal, the Great Seal of Washington, D.C., we do see that there is an eye, an all-seeing eye, and then this eye is Lucifer, and then the pyramid that's not complete yet. So there is coming this Apollo, this man of sin, this beast rising up out of the earth, as the Bible says, out of the abyss. He's going to come, and he's going to come and become the ruler. And so it is important to understand that when the rulers came, all of the rulers came through that arch, that particular arch that they're looking at right now and that they have pictured here, the arch that I was showing you that Donald Trump was holding. And so that's very interesting that we're seeing this because, as we're looking at all of this, we can see that there's never been a president like President Trump, right? There's never been a person who has had history behind him. For instance, you can look at all of the various pieces of literature and go back in a lot of the history, and you'll find Trump's name written throughout history, right? Some people believe that he was a time traveler. Some people believe that it was all, maybe inserted. But really, when it comes down to it, there is nobody in history that has been this person to ever come and just completely change America. Like it's not, there's no president that can do that, right? The way the President Trump just comes in and changes laws and makes new laws. It's really similar to what the Bible talks about in Daniel when it says that he will rule through deceit, but he will come and he will change laws and times and customs. And apparently that's what's going to happen because President Trump is now seeking the third term, which is changing the law totally for even presidents. And remember what he said when he first came in. He said, that I'm going to come, and we're gonna have an election, and this will be the last election that you have. There won't be any need for it. We're going to fix it real good so that you won't have to vote again, my wonderful Christians, is what he said. So, as we listen to this, I want you to keep all that in mind and just not become so emotional about this whole thing about President Trump and me talking about it. There's a lot of people who want to become very emotional about it. And again, the comments that you make, they are comments that are made out of anger. And I realize that because there are a lot of people who feel like, you're talking about my president. And let's kind of lose that for a minute and just kind of listen in here.
Wow. Trump decided to go, I have to be under that this day at this time. After I left my apartment surrounded by Apollo to stand under the apotheosis of the return of the golden age of the gods through the resurrection of Apollo in a man. Whoa. None of this should be lost on anybody, as he's erecting an arch which signifies the authority the ruling authority of a deified individual with the amalgamation of all things Egyptological and Romanesque to bring about the return of Apollo, which
Yeah. And where does he get the Egyptological and Romanesque? Where he gets the Egyptological and Romanesque, he's talking about the dollar bill. On one side, there is Egyptian imagery, and on the other side, there's Roman imagery. You have the seal with the eagle, and then you have the you have the Egyptian inscription, or the Egyptian side with the pyramid, right? So this is Egyptian and Romanesque. Also, I want to call your attention to the Bible does refer to that being that place where this Antichrist will come, will be old Egypt. Then he also talks about in the Bible, it talks about a revived Roman kingdom. So all of these things do play out, and it's right here in our face, guys. It's right in our face. And the hard thing about it is to actually believe it. That's the thing that a lot of people don't want to believe it. Anyway, I'm not going to stay on too long. I just want to do this recording and get it out there. If you'd like to share this video, it would be nice if you did, because again, I'm going to leave some links so that you guys can follow up and do your own research on this thing. But we have this president seeming to be, he's going to break all the rules, and he's going to stand in the place, you know, where the Bible talks about they're going to build this holy place, and he's going to stand in it. Now, that's, you know, before I even go, I do want to just say that it's going to be in the shape of Solomon's temple, right? And Donald Trump is actually building Solomon's temple, and I don't know if you know that, but what's happening is that the building that he's building is going to be like Solomon's temple. And so let me see if I can show it to you. So he really is, whether you believe this stuff or not, he really is going after what the Bible talks about in Revelation, that he's going to build a place where he can go to an altar and defile the altar. This is what is going to happen. So when he gets there, in this particular third temple, this temple that he's building himself, again, this is going to be something where he will actually be in that third temple, and then he will do what the Bible talks about, turn on the Jews and completely desecrate the temple through the abomination of desolation and all of that. Right? This is current news. This is what's happening right now, and so currently these things are taking place right now, and all of these symbols that are around him. That's what's happening. And you never had a president do this before. Never had a president in this particular kind of prophetic role. So anyway, you guys let me know what you think. Subscribe, share the video, and all that good stuff, you know. And again, you know, let's be prayerful. This is not so that you can be nervous or scared, but it is so that you will be informed. And my goal is to raise awareness and point to Jesus, because he's the only answer to our needs, because we know that Jesus is going to come back when all of this stuff is done. This is the closing of the book. This is the end. This is the book of Revelation. This is all what the Bible predicted will come to pass, and we're living in it right now. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. God bless.